Uganda, and I have lived with lymphedema for about 20 years. I first noticed it around 2005, and I noticed that one foot would fit in the shoe and the other one just wouldn't fit in the shoe for some weird reason. So I went for treatment, different hospitals, different doctors, and most of them didn't know what it was. They're like, do you feel any pain? I would say, no, I don't feel any pain. They're like, it will clear on its own. Yeah. So it's been a 20-year journey of trying to find out what exactly is going on, and it's only about 2005, mid 2005, when I met a doctor who told me what it was, but I was also told that there's no cure and there is no treatment, is what he told me, that I should just go home and try to live my life in the best way that I could. Yeah, so that's how I was diagnosed with lymphedema and given this life-altering news with no treatment whatsoever. And so disappointed as I was, I went home and I tried to live my life as best as I could.
When you've not been managing the condition?
No, I've not been managing the condition. I hadn't managed it for almost 18 years.
You didn't get any treatment?
No, none whatsoever. In about my 5th year of lymphedema, I did meet people who tell me that I need to do bandaging. These are people who come from Europe and maybe bump into me and tell me that, we've seen this in Europe, but you need to bandage. But they didn't show me how to bandage. There were no bandages, and so I just shrugged it off and I moved on with my life, because these are not medical personnel. It's just maybe a tourist who told me, I've seen that before. Yeah, so I hadn't managed it at all. I just did what the doctor told me. Go home and try to live your best life. But in trying to live my best life, unfortunately, because with lymphedema, the leg gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And just when you think, sure, it cannot get any more bigger, it gets even bigger. And so I noticed with time that I started getting wounds on the limb, and it started pitting. I had what you call pitting edema. And of course, when I would seek medical intervention, the doctors didn't know what to do. They thought maybe it's cancer. Most doctors in Uganda have never even heard of lymphedema, unfortunately. And I remember in 2020, that was the first time that I got an infection called cellulitis, which is a common infection in people that have lymphedema. And I got cellulitis. And it took a long time for them to actually realize that this is cellulitis. I think I was actually Googling, and then I told the doctor, I think I have something called cellulitis. Thank God for Google, Yeah, and so we treated that. And for a year, up to 2021, I didn't get any other infection. And then in 2021, I got 2 episodes of cellulitis. And every single time you get cellulitis with lymphedema, guess what? Your leg gets even bigger. Yeah. And so 2022, I started getting back-to-back infections. Every 3 months, every 2 months, I'm on strong meds for lymphedema, for cellulitis rather. And I remember one doctor told me that, the antibiotics we're giving you now, they're too strong. You need to find another alternative. And so that's how I went online. Like I said, thank God for Google. A friend of mine found Lawin online. Lawin is with Lymphedema Warriors Uganda. And yeah, so she's the one who helped me out a lot. Yeah.
That is how you got to know about lymphedema association?
Yes. So she's the one who told me about different surgeons around the world who help, the kind of bandaging that I really need to do, because I had no clue by then, and most medical personnel in Uganda have no clue about lymphedema, so we just treat the wounds, treat cellulitis, you go home with your limb naked as it was.
So it was Lawin who introduced you to the management of lymphedema?
Yes, she's the one who, yes, because she had traveled to Germany and she came back and started the Lymphedema Warriors Association in Uganda. And so she's the one who actually showed me what to do, gave me bandages, and came, to my aid to explain step by step what I should do, which after 20 years almost is ridiculous. 18 years of not knowing what to do is ridiculous, really. But so I'm really grateful for her help. And yeah, and so I started the compression therapy, which helped the limb to actually even become smaller and reduce the episodes of cellulitis and wounds.
What are the challenges you've gotten with the condition?
Well, one of the
Personal challenges.
biggest challenges personally is mobility, because the bigger the leg would become, the less mobile I would become. And I remember back in 2010, because I had reduced movement so much, 2012 rather, I got diagnosed with high blood pressure and diabetes. And it's because I was not moving around enough, because I had no idea that I should actually keep moving. Whenever I would move, the limb was so big and so heavy. And so I made that choice to just, just live a soft life, sit as much as possible, don't walk around as much as possible. But I was now adding on other diseases on top of lymphedema. So it's mobility and also the stigma. Everywhere you go in public, people you see your leg. I'd never met anyone before Lawin who had lymphedema. So I was the only person I thought in the country that had lymphedema. And every time I'd go somewhere, people would stare at me, whisper, follow you. Those who are confident would come and ask you what's wrong. I remember one of the worst things that ever did happen to me was depression. I got depressed for some time. I spent 3 years without leaving the house because I didn't want anyone to see my leg. I didn't want anyone to ask me questions. I'll just sit home. But then after some time, I realized, my life is passing me by, because as a human being, you have your dreams, you have your aspirations, and I decided, okay, let me do something and try to manage the stigma in the public. Yeah. Yeah.
So these people that Lawin introduced to you, how did they help and who are they?
So Lawin introduced me to a surgeon from Germany, Professor Ong, and to Madame Martha N. Reina, and the three of them came together, and they decided to start doing interventions here in Uganda. So to give you a backstory to that, I had managed to contact a surgeon in Italy who had told me that I would need to fly to Europe, and it would need about 100,000 US dollars for me to receive treatment. There was no way I was going to make that money at all. There is no way I was going to raise it. I didn't have it. I'm a teacher by profession. I can't raise that money. And so when Lawin told me that Professor Ong and Auntie Martha Reina can come to Uganda and help, I was really grateful for that. Yeah.
So after Professor Ann teaching you, is there any difference? Like how you can see the progress?
Yes. So Professor Ang first came and did a preliminary view of my leg, 2023 in August, and he told me that I need to do compression therapy and to lose weight so that I'll take pressure off my leg. And so Lawin helped with that, with Lymphedema Warriors Uganda providing bandages and all the necessary sundries that I would need to do that, and the technique, massage, exercise, and the bandaging. And then in February of this year, we did do the surgery. He did a lymph node transplant where he got lymph nodes from my neck and put in my limb, my right limb, the groin area. And so I started noticing about 2 months after the surgery that my leg was starting to really get smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. So meaning that the water which had collected in the leg had started moving out and coming out. The flow was much better because of the transplant.
What is the message that you give to such people with the same condition as you?
One thing I'd like to tell them, especially when you don't know that there's help, you can lose hope, And so my advice would be, don't lose hope. don't lose hope. I'm grateful that in Uganda, in Africa now, Lymph Warriors Uganda is here. Professor Ong is here to help. Bugema University has also partnered, and there is hope now. Put your health first. Try as much as possible to get in contact. There is help now. Yes.